Alright, time for the thing that everyone has been waiting for me to do. Talk about Ape Escape. That's what you were waiting for, right? That's what you were expecting, right? No? Oh. Oops. So, how is everybody doing? It's been a minute. I did not make any promises, if you remember correctly.
I'm not committing to anything.
But I did genuinely think that I was going to be able to put something out sooner than now. But the last few months have been quite the roller coaster of emotions. I recently was talking to a friend, and through conversation I randomly became inspired to do a video talking about my love for the video game Ape Escape. Don't ask me how or why. These things just... I do things. I just do things. What happens when and where for whatever reason, sometimes I just can't control. I am a fickle man, and that is just something you're going to have to live with. Anyway, so I hope this little goofy detour is entertaining, and I hope it makes you smile. I hope it makes you smile. Since I have some very specific things that I would like to say about this game, and I don't want to mess it up with my unscripted rambling, I don't want to skip over anything that I actually have in mind that is a particular point I want to make. I have some scripted bits for you. So I'm going to now hand this off to future me voicing over in the booth. Go me. Really? That's how you're gonna do this? Okay. Alright, cool. In an age of platformers, Ape Escape stood out among its contemporaries. It's basically a platformer that isn't all that concerned with platforming most of the time. Rather, it is far more focused on giving you a constantly growing arsenal of fun-to-use gadgets that are for the most part more focused on movement and utility than just giving you multiple ways to hit or shoot things. Every new mechanic expands upon the ways in which you can interact with the colorful and intuitively designed levels, which get bigger in scale, both in a literal sense as well as a conceptual one. The story's premise is adorably absurd from the start, and the presentation is at the room levels of unintentional hilarity.
Hello, Professor. Remember me? It's me, Spectre, the future leader of the new age. That's right. Apes will soon rule the world, just as it should have been from the beginning.
Spectre, what's going on here?
Let's just laugh at him now.
But the time travel framing device at least functions as an easy excuse to have the game's level set wherever and whenever they feel like. Ultimately, the main game design aspect that sets this game apart from others is right there in the title: Ape Escape. Those apes are the entire focus of the game. Outside of the occasional boss fight, you will be chasing, stalking, fighting, and catching the numerous apes that are littered throughout all of the game's levels. They are basically like if you took a Mario 64 star, gave it arms and legs, and the ability to operate weapons and vehicles. Yes, your whole goal is to simply catch all of these stubborn monkeys, and they will do their best to give you a hard time doing so. But how do you catch these monkeys? I hear you asking. Well, I'll tell you. With a net. This is so dumb. All jokes aside, the biggest innovation this game made actually was informed by PlayStation transitioning from their original D-pad only controllers to the DualShock analog sticks design. This game was made to show off the power of having 2 joysticks on your controller for the first time. And how did they do this? Unlike any other 3D game you've ever played. So in this video game, this particular special snowflake video game, Ape Escape, they decided when they first came out with the DualShock controller with the joysticks, there, this is hard to do with one hand, and there, they decided to build a whole game around the idea of having these 2 joysticks. Of course, the left one is still just used for standard movement, but the Galaxy Brains over at Japan Studio, I think, might have to check on that, they decided, oh, normally in most video games, you would use the buttons like X for jump, B for like shoot or attack or something, maybe a secondary attack on square, maybe some peripheral extra ability on triangle. The mad lads over at the team who made Ape Escape decided X, circle, triangle, and square would be used primarily to assign your quick slot gadgets. So you apply whichever gadgets you choose to put on these 4 buttons, and you press the button to equip that gadget, and then you use the right joystick to use it. So with the net, you will whoosh it, swing it at a monkey. Like this. In whichever direction you're pointing, it swings it. And they also, on a number of gadgets, have a spinning ability. So you just turn the joystick.
The prophecy is true.
Like for the flying gadget, which you just turn and then you start floating up in the air. And it may seem very odd and maybe even simple, which maybe it is, but it works really well and it's very fun. And I don't think I've ever played another game that had a control scheme like it. Also, jump is on the trigger buttons. It's crazy, I know. I love it. I'm not going to explain every single detail of this game to you, especially since I hope that after seeing this you might go and experience it yourself. I will say though that this is one of those types of games where you gain new abilities, or in this case gadgets that allow you to access places or accomplish things that at the beginning of the game are not accessible to you. Sort of like a Metroidvania type of game. They use these gadgets to naturally progress the amount of ways you interact with the later levels of the game, as well as giving you incentives to go back and revisit levels you've played earlier. This isn't necessarily a unique thing in the genre of platformer action-adventure games, but it gives some depth to the game that otherwise wouldn't be there without that kind of progression. In this modern age of gaming we live in now, most of Ape Escape's game design will seem very familiar to you. That's why it really comes down to the presentation of these elements to make this game stand out among the Marios and Spyros of the world. I'm aware that there are a decent amount of people that look back at the angular graphics of the PlayStation 1 and find them to be pretty hard to look at most of the time, and that may very well be true for a lot of that system's library. But when artists let those graphics inform their art design, you can get some really memorable looking game aesthetics. This game has a very distinctly anime-esque look to it. Of course, this is the kind of thing that comes down to preference, but as far as I'm concerned, I love the way this game looks. I also love the way it sounds, particularly because this soundtrack is an absolute banger. Also, there's one last thing I have to highlight in this video. I briefly mentioned it earlier, but the incredibly awkward absurdity of the writing and voice acting in this game's cutscenes cannot be overstated. I can't even properly do it justice with my own words, so I'll just show you.
Well, look who's here. So you finally found us. Spectre. Jake! And how is everything coming along?
Jake!
Everything is under control, coming along very nicely, according to plan. Very good.
What's
it going? Right. Hold on! You're not going anywhere. Oh, yes, we are. I don't have time to bother with you right now. Oh, but we will. We will.
We will!
You just wait. You won't even know what hit you. Another time, another place. You'll have your chance.
We will meet again.
Jake! That's how I'm saying your name from now on.
I love how they're in front of Spike, and then Spectre asks his minion, "Hey, so how are the plans coming along?" He's like, "Oh yeah, they're going good."
Now that the protagonist is here, let's monologue about our plans.
So what made me want to make this video? That's a good question. I'm not really honestly sure. I was talking with a friend about games that are considered to be the greatest of all time, and I just threw out the claim that I personally feel that Ape Escape is one of the greatest games ever made, or at least it's one of my personal absolute favorites of all time. I can say at least that much. Gotta be a little more hyperbolic for the YouTube thumbnail and title, of course, but you know, that's how the game goes. My friend was like, that's something that I'd like to hear about. That's something that isn't a normal conversation topic. And I was like, you know what, you're right. I don't hear anybody talk about Ape Escape enough. It's not something that is talked about very often. Shut up, car! Shush! I'm filming here. But I just felt like, hey, maybe this is something that I could talk about, that I have a personal experience with, that is unique to me. And that's the exact kind of thing that I often want when I'm making a video, is for it to be something that wouldn't exist otherwise if I hadn't made it. This video might come off a little bit more serious and particularly focused than maybe it should for how absurd and silly the game itself actually is, but I love it, and I can't help but want to put the correct words to express how much I love something that I actually love. Who knows which way the wind blows? I don't even know if that's a song. I think I just came up with it on the fly. Oh, by the way, in case you didn't know, I also have a Twitch channel. I have not really promoted it on this YouTube channel before, but, and I don't really have a regular stream schedule. What a surprise. But I do stream on there, so if you'd like to see more of my shenanigans, less edited and tightly focused, more of me acting like a fool, you can catch that over at twitch.tv/dreaminsilence. Hopefully, I'll see you there. And why did I lean into the shot like this? I don't know. I'm trying to keep you on edge.